So I think this will be the last formula piece that we'll do for the immediate future. If you have enjoyed these ones and you want to see some more, or you want to see an explanation of a very particular formula, just send me a message, shoot me a comment down below, something like that, and so what we can do. But for the time being, I think to have covered three is enough. One we're looking at today is one called the 4Ps. Oops, that's in the wrong order. There we go. So the 4Ps is a very, very widely used formula, popularized. I don't really want to say popularized, but used extensively by big financial publishers, in particular the Agora and some of their subsidiary companies. Bill Bonner, who started the Agora, which is now like $1 billion plus company, launched, I think, the first Agora company with an example of the 4Ps. And I've actually found that example, and we are going to break that down when we go through this. But the 4Ps are basically promise, picture, prove, and push. Very simple when you look at it. Promise and push at the start and the end are much smaller. They take up much less real estate than picture and prove. But yeah, let's get into it. It's less direct than a lot of the others where they just lead straight in with the problem, but it is very story driven, which I think makes this like a wonderful one to play around with. And using this formula, it feels a little more fun to write, to be honest. But anyway, so you lead with a promise and you grab attention by making a big promise to the user. This is often done through the headline. The headline and the initial couple of lines of the lead will be a big promise. So what is it that your target audience really wants to achieve? Lead with that. Go straight in and be like, hey, as I mentioned here in this, you see these headlines used a lot in financial and health copywriting, and it's like, this stock, if you buy this stock now, it could provide a 500% ROI within the next 24 months or something. They use those big promise headlines to really grab your attention. That big promise can be anything. It doesn't have to be to that sort of template, but they do need to be big because they do need to cut through the noise and make somebody think, shit, I want that. But yeah, so explain to the user in very, very clear terms what it is that they're going to get if they read on, if they eventually click the buy button or whatever it is. So we got a little example here. This is from the Bill Bonner letter. There's a link at the bottom of this piece to that. Dear reader, I'd like to send you a free copy of the unique and invaluable report. It's called, here's the big promise, How to Retire in Paradise on $30 a Day. And it tells you about the best places in the world for retirement living. Big promise right there. Retire in paradise for $30 a day. Whew. Yeah, that's a pretty substantial promise. I think if I could retire right now and live comfortably on $30 a day, I would be very tempted. Excuse me, I'm going to yawn. After you've made that big promise, you need to set the scene. This is where picture comes in. You need to tell a story that really highlights to the user or the reader the kind of life that they could be living if they are to follow and continue reading on. You can also take a sort of a negative angle and create a story about their biggest pain that they're currently experiencing. But you really need to draw this out. You really need to make this like a nice story. And you need to get the user or the reader, keep saying user, this is what happens when you work with too many software brands. You need to get the reader to picture themselves in that story. So get the reader to picture in vivid detail one of two things: their ideal living situation, the thing they aspire to, or their current biggest painful situation. So here we go. This is an example again from this very famous letter. But there is another side of the world, one where you can't find out about by reading the paper, certainly not by watching TV. It's what you do. Here we go. Here's the pitch bit. You can sail away to the islands of the Caribbean. Chartering a boat can be an affordable as well as an exciting, luxurious family holiday. Who doesn't want that? Spend a summer in the Lake District. I'm glad he said summer because it is miserable in the winter. Or actually buy your own cottage in Ireland or chalet in the Alps or a beachfront in the Caribbean. do it right, and the property will almost pay for itself. I'll explain how in just a moment. Ooh, nice teaser. Make big profits on international stocks and bonds. Overseas investments in fast-growing countries offer high returns as well as the safety of diversification. So 3 big things that people can picture themselves doing if they live this early, cheap retirement life. It's good. The better bit of this, to be honest, is the picture that he outlines at the beginning. Do you know, I've got it here because I've just been pulling screenshots from it. Just read this. You look out your window past your gardener who is busily pruning the lemon, cherry and fig trees amidst the splendour of gardenias, hibiscus and hollyhocks. I don't know flower names. The sky is clear blue. The sea is a deeper blue, sparkling with sunlight. A gentle breeze comes drifting in from the ocean, clean and refreshing, as your maid brings you breakfast in bed. Maid bringing me breakfast in bed. For a moment, you think you have died and gone to heaven, but this paradise is real and affordable. In fact, it costs only half as much to live this dream lifestyle as it would stay in your own home. Wonderful picture, wonderful imagery, really gets you excited about what is being offered. That's the kind of level of sort of picture imagery and placing the reader in the position of their dream life that you want to be going for in this picture. Prove. Now this one's a little bit trickier. You can't just go around, I help freelancers grow their businesses. I just can't go around in all good conscience and say, I'll make you a billionaire through freelance writing within 6 months, because it's absolute bullshit. You can't just make these grandiose claims. I mean, if I could do that and I had proof to back me up, then cool. But you can't just go out and make these grandiose claims. You need some sort of proof. Now, that proof can come in multiple forms. It can come from studies, sort of academic studies that prove the main point that you're making. It can come from newspapers. It can come from other industry sort of authorities. It can come from many different places, but there has to be some proof. You can't make these promises and expect people to just believe you. And I think it's harder now than when this letter for international living was written, because people nowadays are just so bloody skeptical, and rightly so, because there's a lot of charlatans out there who are just after your money. Nowadays you can also look at things like Twitter, Facebook, comments, reviews, all of these sort of things as proof, but you need to include some level of proof in what it is you're writing. The more authoritative and legitimate and high level it looks, the better it is for you. So if you can get the New York Times article that corroborates what you're saying, that's better than saying Dave from the corner, he says it's cool. So you want to go big on the proof if you can, just to really sort of allay fears of the readers. Now we're going to look at the proof section in that letter. Now, I think it would be very difficult nowadays to get away with this level of proof, or more difficult than it was then. So I must emphasise that this world of international opportunities is available to anyone. Consider these items. In February of '85, we published an article explaining how to fly around the world for less than $1,000. At the time, it wasn't even half the regular fare. It was so low that some subscribers didn't believe it was possible. One actually put us to the test. David Hendrickson and his wife followed our instructions and actually flew around the world with stopovers in London, New York, Bangkok, Hong Kong and Tokyo for less than $1,000. Proof in that somebody has done this, which for the time, because this was a printed letter, I believe, perfect. It's what you'd expect. It's what you get. And then there's another example here of somebody buying a house in Malaga. I think it was. Is it Malaga? Yeah. $13,100, and the promise was for less than 15. So they've included proof there to show that this one is a little different, because they're saying that the advice that they've given in the past has worked out. So this advice is no different. You would struggle to get away with this now, because I could just go to Google and I could look for, what was the name? Was it David Hendrickson or something? David Hendrickson. I could go and Google this guy and see what he's about and see if it's true. But yeah, you need proof. You need some sort of proof in there. The push. Before you tell them, just click here. You want to reiterate the main benefits of this. You want to keep that story going. You want the user, the reader, got to stop saying user, You want the reader to hit a point where they're like just sitting there going, yeah, this is me, this is perfect for me, this is exactly what I want. Because if they're having some sort of physical reaction like, oh my God, yes, they're more likely to just go, boom, buy. Rather than you just going, buy now. So here we go. So this is special introductory subscription offer. They've sweetened the deal by making it cheaper. 12 information-packed issues for only $49. You'll also receive. Yep. So then they punch it up here by adding in some little guarantees. You've got 100% satisfaction guarantee. I like this bit. And even if you never take advantage of any of the exciting ideas in each issue of International Living, you'll still find your subscription well worth the price. You see, International Living is entertaining as well as informative. So they're kind of like taking the edge off it. There are other ways that you can sort of help with that push. And I think that getting people to really have a strong reaction by reiterating the benefits, reiterating the main points of the story that they can see themselves in, is a good way to do this. But yeah, that letter is perfect. What I'd recommend is you do a little bit of reading on the 4 Ps, use this video as a jumping off point, and then go through and read the full letter. If you want access to all of this, so this little cheat sheet here and also the full letter, just follow the link in the description below, sign up, and I'll email you all of the relevant links. But yeah, 4 Ps, very good, incredible for long form stuff because you can really get into the detail of the picture and the story then. But definitely worth a try. Next video will be something different. I don't think we'll be doing too many more of the formula ones at the minute unless there's something that you really want to be looked at. Let me know. And until then, bye.